everybody, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video. And I'm talking a little bit more about the part of fortune today, giving a little bit more detail and talking about part of fortune through the houses and a little bit about how that shows up in the life. There's not a lot of information about this, especially on YouTube, so I thought we would get into this a little bit more because I've got a lot of questions about this particular subject. So, to find the part of fortune, it's really easiest if you do it on a computer program. Now make sure you're choosing day or night formula because there's two different formulas that you're going to use, and most programs will ask you which to use. So you want to put it in, and it is that little circle with the cross in it, and that will, whatever part of the chart that's in, it could be in really any part of the chart. That is going to show you what, the synthesis of the three legs of your personality, the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. So it's, showing, where the personality, shows up, full force, where we have the really good parts of our personality that bring us luck, benefit, fortune, all those good things, where we can get other people and the forces of nature on board to help us out and bring good things into our lives. So for day formula, we measure from the sun to the moon, and then we add that distance to the ascendant. For the night formula, it's a little bit different. You have to subtract the arc from the ascendant. So put it into a program. Don't try to do this unless you're an experienced astrologer. Don't try to figure this by hand because it's really not worth your time. Find where it is. Let somebody else do the work for you. And it has a lot to do with how we've developed our personality. So as I explain part of fortune through the houses, you have to keep that in mind, that the part of fortune, it really has a lot to do with our early upbringing, because that's when we formed our personality. That's when we decided who we were going to be. That's how we decided our defenses in the world and how we were going to build those, and what we were going to look like, because we are not our personality. We are something greater than that, and our personality is something that we develop to shield and protect our vulnerable inner core, the real true us, our spirits. So our upbringing and our conditioning and how we are interpreted, our experiences from the past and how that shows up in our present, and how we use our past to inform our present into our future. That's really a lot about the part of fortune. It's not just about luck, because you have to figure where it comes from. It comes from showing the where our personality, shows up, really strongly, where the qualities that bring us good things, the qualities that get us stuff, where that is in the chart, where we can expect to use those really more dazzling parts of our personality to bring fortune into our own lives. So, the childhood environment and how we, form our personality and then, use that to become successful. Very much about the part of fortune. So you have to keep that in mind always. It's not just about luck. It's actually more of a complex thing. And I'll probably write a book next year about the part of fortune and go into the psychology behind it and why it is even important and actually such an important part to look at in the birth chart. And in fact, if you want to look at somebody's birth chart and know in a nutshell what they're about, look at the part of fortune. Look at the house and the sign it's in, and whatever planets are square, opposite, or especially conjunct to it. That will tell you a great deal about that person. So, part of fortune in the first house. It's really about self-sufficiency, about becoming a success through developing a good sense of self, becoming self-reliant, going with your own views, breaking with past conditioning is a big one here. Deciding what it is you believe in for part of fortune in the first house. You know, really letting go of what it is we've been told and examining those beliefs that we have hold as adults and deciding, you know, are these ours? Or is this something that I believe out of fear or out of repetition or out of old tapes or out of low self-esteem? You know, what is it that you believe in? Becoming really self-reliant and going with your own views is, you know, becoming single-minded in decision-making too, with part of fortune in the first house. You know, becoming decisive and learning to, you know, just, you make a decision and go with it. Big one with part of fortune in the first. That really, when they can learn that, you know, and become more selfish with their beliefs and with how they go after, you know, how they make their decisions and then consequently go after what it is, what they want, when they can be, you know, more like selfish, single-minded with that, that is what brings good things to them. That is when people notice them. That is when the fortune comes into their life, when they're developing, when they're showing those parts of themselves and developing those parts of themselves at the same time. So, the second house, is very much about possession and values. With the part of fortune here, when people can really achieve self-establishment and realize importance of self, that is when the really good things come into their lives. When they're showing those parts of themselves that are about, going out and getting for themselves, when they are really examining what is real, what is meaningful, and what possessions are important. This is a big one. Going out and getting in that achievement, but examining what is worth that. What is worth your work? What is worth your efforts? Seeing past the glitter of anything into what is essential. This is what, brings good things into their life, fortune into their life, because they realize what is important. They become very real about what it is they should be investing in. And when others see that, that's when fortune really shines upon them, when they get real about what it is they're actually after. Investing in what is important is really when good things come to people, with that part of fortune in the second house. The third is really about showing and displaying mental toughness. Standing on one's own mental feet. Not adopting others' ideas or needing feedback, especially, and learning to rely on the logic part of their brain instead of emotion. So, learning to develop that more cerebral side to their lives can bring in the good things that they're looking for. There can be a real learning complex associated with people with the part of fortune in the third house. They don't want to be wrong. They, you know, they can actually, come off as communicating in a very real fashion, but that's often because they're hiding a overcompensation issue that they have. And when they can become very mentally brave and stop being afraid of being seen as stupid or inept or being wrong, they can really come out of their mental shell and be seen for what they really are. And this is when they, attract those good, fortunate things to them, and others are really able to see what they're really mentally about. Because, if they become too phobic about failure, they never have a chance to display that, that mental toughness and that grit, and, that talent never has a chance to come out. So, that fourth house, part of fortune, a strong sense of family and attachment to home is a big part of this. Becoming vulnerable, learning how to display that, learning how to show others our core, learning how to emote, developing that feminine part of ourselves. Nurturing and compassion, becoming an emotional leader. So it's really mostly about, vulnerability. When we can really, show that, display that, emote that, that brings others on board. That brings others to us in a way that makes them want to give us what we're looking for. That gets other people, invested in what it is we, with people, with fortune in the fourth house, what it is they are, looking to forward, whatever goals they're looking for. They get other people and they get fortune, they get luck on board by becoming brave enough to be vulnerable, and that gets other people excited about, the realness of this and the possibilities of what could be. Fifth house is really about growing personal expression and creativity. When you can really show that and be brave about that and kind of show your wild risk side, this is when good things come to people with part of fortune in the fifth house. Getting past shyness, showing off a little bit, showing your hobbies, showing your creativity. This is when other people get excited about what it is you have and what it is you're about, and they want to help. They want to get on board. They want to give it what it is you're looking for. Exuberance, excitement, displaying all those things, and, really delving into one's hobbies and finding out what those are and investing in those. Hobbies bring, really good things into life. Part of fortune in the fifth house. Sixth house, being constructive and helpful, practically assisting others, becoming very self-disciplined. Very much about the part of fortune in the sixth house. Learning how to improve the self and to help others. So, others, get on board and get excited when they see that self-improvement, and that's something that they, that can be contagious. They also, want to have a piece of that. So when people, part of fortune in the sixth house, when they can really show that and be brave about what it is they're doing, their ideas, their routine, how it is they're getting ahead health-wise, that brings a lot of good things into their life. Using their talents constructively is also another one here. You're not wasting their talents, not wasting their energy is another thing. How they show up in crisis situations is a real gift to others. And when people see this can bring a lot of good things into their life because they're really recognized for, their helpful and able nature in crisis and difficult situations. Part of fortune in the seventh house, luck and fortune come through relationships, but it's a little bit tricky here. because it comes through relationships when people with their part of fortune in the 7th house learn to be themselves, when they aren't their partner, when they aren't practicing like codependent behaviors. This is when they bring, good things. This is when, those great parts of their personality are shining forth and other people want to get on board with what it is they're doing. Choosing their own direction in life and learning to identify themselves apart from their partner. Very important with part of fortune in the 7th house. Learning to be independent, make their own decisions based on what they want and not living for a partner. When other people see this and when they're displaying these parts of their, personalities, more independent but still caring parts, it brings good things into their lives. 8th house part of fortune, luck and fortune come through handling money and crisis. They are really good at other people's money. Learning how to be responsible with possessions, things that have to do with others. Helping and assisting in situations that are ugly. Dealing with death, icky things. How they show up in distasteful situations. People note this. People see this. This brings them good things. They can be really recognized for, their abilities to deal with things that other people cannot touch. Other people, that will give them nightmares. People with part of fortune in their 8th house. When they, deal with these types of situations, it brings them luck and fortune because other people recognize how strong they are and, the kind of grit and the type of talents that they have. Very unique. 9th house, part of fortune. Success and fortune often comes through searching for the truth of things, finding out the higher laws of the universe. And a lot of this has to do also with letting go with preconceived notions of how the world works, or how reality is, or what religion or spirituality are. So it's really a position that's, about living ethically, developing integrity, expanding their comfort zone. And, what expands our comfort zone more than learning the greater truth of things? This is really mind expanding. So, coming out of what they're used to and learning the big ideas of the universe can really bring really good things to them. Teaching those big things, the big concepts. Travel, foreign culture, these are all things that can bring really high amount of luck into their lives. 10th, being bravely successful, being out in the public, but also being filled with confidence. And, showing the results of, growing up from one's 4th house into their full adult self. And, showing, generosity, being magnanimous. It's really about philanthropy. How do you say it? Being philanthropic. Philanthropic. That's what I'm trying to say. Being generous in a social way, in a larger way, being known for that. Being one that gives, causes, things that have to do with, reform in the larger public social way, indulging things like that. Politics, things like that, making rules and laws, and furthering ethics and integrity. When they show up in that way, when those parts of their personality come out, they can really be recognized for those things that then bring them the kind of fortune that they are looking for. 11th house is about enlightening others, bringing new ideas into whatever circles they're in, being innovative when it comes to how people relate outside of tradition, being a progressive liver. This is really important. Living in a way that is, very independent, that is even punkish, that is, sometimes very much outside the social norm. However it is that works for them, this person with their part of fortune, the 11th, this, will bleed out. Other people will see that. They will see the originality of this. They will see the new ideas. They will see the possibilities of what can be, how they can live, how they can be, how they can relate in ways that are different than tradition, that, show, a broader scope to life. Living outside the box, and really kind of debunking tradition when it comes to the social sphere. 12th house part of fortune is really about coming one with all of humanity. This is a really interesting place to have your part of fortune, because the 3 legs of the personality are coming into the house of the unconscious. And things in the 12th house are hard to find. Unless somebody points them out to us, it's very difficult for us to even know what's going on up there. We have a feeling or a sense, but this is the house of hidden things. And these are things that are hidden from us. This is not like the 8th house, where these are things that we hide. This is the house of things, of mysteries that we find out. So the part of fortune here, when they lose themselves, they really find themselves. This is a very zen place to have the part of fortune. And it's really about dissolving the ego and become non-judgmental about all experiences. Becoming fluid and formless and kind of not even kind of, it's totally abandoning the self. Leaving the ego behind to become more. Trusting in the all of connectedness of human beings. So it's a very Piscean placement. It's really, becoming the healthy things of Neptune. And when they can display those things, when they can become those things, and this is probably the hardest placement of all to have your part of fortune here, is in the 12th house. Because this is the 3 legs of the personality. This is the ego itself in all of its glory. And it is here in the 12th house of needing to be dissolved in order to bring good things into the life. So, developing a wise attitude towards letting that ego and character slip away, and understanding that it leads to more, and it leads to success. Other people see that. They see the ability, the bravery in that, and the really the larger happiness that giving up the ego can bring. That temporary death, that's painful, but connecting with the source and really leaving that self behind, that is, when that brings the beauty into their lives. People with part of fortune in the 12th, and can really bring the experiences that they are looking for to further their goals, which with part of fortune in the 12th house will not be about the ego. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and check out my partner, Seth Roback. We will be doing more videos and more interaction soon, so you get 2 astrologers for one. And you can find me on Facebook at Truth and Aspect Astrology, and on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. And yes, I do consultation, and I will see you soon, soon, soon. Bye-bye.